Steve, I've heard that you've been wondering about the difference between a Strat and a Mustang. Is that right?
No, it's not true at all. Where did you hear that?
From you.
Oh. Well, if I said it, it must be true. Yes.
So, I think it would be really good for us to compare what a Strat sounds like, a Squier Strat, and a Squier Mustang, and see what the differences are.
With a view to achieving a Stevie Ray Vaughan-esque Texas blues tone.
Something bluesy, yeah, because that's what we like.
That's what we like.
So let's see.
And both pickups together again in the alternate position.
Okay.
I'm a little bit nervous about what you're going to say, to be honest.
Well, to be honest, I'm just thinking. I just don't know what you're thinking. Apart from my terrible playing, what are you thinking?
I didn't hear a great deal of difference, to be honest. I don't know if you thought the same. I felt like the pickups on the Mustang were a bit more articulate than these Affinities. But just in terms of the tone on a whole, I thought they were very much in the same vein.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. They were very similar, but the Strat, these pickups feel a little bit hotter. So there's more output.
Yeah, a little bit more gain.
But then with that came less clarity. They're a bit kind of bassier, a bit thicker, but it's not necessarily a good thing.
Right.
The strings on here are 10s, whereas those are 11s, and I could feel that as I was playing.
Yeah.
I was fighting that a little bit more just simply because they're thicker strings and I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
So that was making it harder for me to play, but there's nothing to do with the actual guitar. I like the fact that on there you've got the two choices of the type of in-between sound.
Yeah, which I didn't actually know about. I just assumed that by engaging both pickups together, you were doing the same thing whether you had the selectors on either side.
Yeah.
But apparently there is a subtle difference.
Yeah. Whereas you don't have that with the Strat, you don't have that option. Although, of course, you can go to the other in-between sound where you've got the bridge and the middle. And we didn't try that.
No.
But yeah, really, they're very different types of pickups. So I don't know if actually we've ended up just doing a comparison between types of pickups rather than...
Well, we kind of have, and I guess I was going to ask you there and then, do you believe it's because you've got ceramics on the Affinity that is the main reason you were getting more output and hence a less articulate tone compared to the Mustang?
I don't know whether it's because they're ceramics or not.
If they're stock pickups, I would assume they're ceramic, but I might be wrong.
Well, the problem that we have is this Affinity Strat is over 20 years old.
Yes.
And
of course it's got a rosewood fretboard, which is unusual now, especially on a guitar of that price range.
Yeah, and if we're comparing what these are like to buy new, an Affinity Strat will probably cost you about £200, whereas the Classic Vibe Mustang is about £300.
Yeah.
But that's not what we paid for these guitars. Did you pay about £300?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you paid about £300 for that, but I paid £80 for this because it was
second hand.
Second hand, yeah. Somebody else has looked at it and thought, well, I don't really love it anymore, and they've just sold it for £80. And it's a great guitar for £80, and you could change the pickups in it. In fact, that's what we've done in the bridge. And that was one of the reasons why we didn't compare the bridge, was because it's got a Seymour Duncan in the bridge, which how much is a set of Seymour Duncans?
I paid it was in the region of between 100, 150 somewhere.
For all three pickups?
For all three pickups.
So you could just replace the pickups in an old Squier Strat and you'd get something probably more, just as articulate as a new Mustang. But then that's true of any old guitar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the old Squiers are actually really, really good, and some people sell them really cheap. And I suppose there's an extra kind of argument and another video in that to look at
future comparison.
Yeah. To look at kind of the effect of different pickups, and I've done it to the Telecaster where I took out the stock pickups and changed them for some higher end pickups, and it did make a huge difference. And that was another second-hand cheap guitar. But then I've played other Classic Vibe guitars, and they're fantastic. The Classic Vibe series in general, but I've played the Strats, and they are fantastic.
Yeah. It's considered to be some of the best work Squier has done.
Yeah, the modern Classic Vibes. Yeah, they are. So it's really tricky. We're comparing, chalk and cheese here, aren't we? Really?
Yeah, everything else was equal in terms of the amp and the effects you were using. The main differences came down to the pickups on the two guitars and possibly the string gauge slightly. This Squier Mustang's got a Laurel fretboard.
Right.
It's not rosewood, whereas your Squier has got a rosewood fretboard.
And how do you find that when you're playing?
I'll be honest, I don't like it as much as I do the rosewood fretboard on my Pacifica.
So what is it about that you don't like?
It's similar to what you were saying earlier about your Squier. Even though yours has got a rosewood, you still find that your fingers stick to it.
I do fight it a little bit. It's better when I've just conditioned the board, but I find that it's almost like it dries out over time and just becomes really, like, my fingers just stick to it. I've got the clammiest hands in the world, so I need...
Yeah. And I don't have clammy hands, but my fingers stick to the Mustang's Indian Laurel fretboard.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem with my Pacifica's rosewood fretboard, so...
But yeah, it's an interesting comparison because I do feel like the Mustang it's got a lot of tones in there. We've kind of touched on that before when we've played the Mustang, haven't we?
Yeah, but the main thing I set out to determine was whether or not the Mustang does indeed have a much cheaper sound to it than a Stratocaster counterpart. That's the reputation that Mustangs seem to have. And as I said, just based on this comparison alone, I didn't hear a great deal of difference.
No.
Certainly nothing, worth getting upset about.
No, and it's, do you mind passing me the Mustang? I mean, the build quality on these is just brilliant as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how does it compare to a classic vibe Strat in terms of cost and?
It's a good question. I've never played a classic vibe Strat, but I believe you're looking at the same price range.
Same price.
Yeah.
So does that mean that the classic vibe Strats now come with this Laurel fretboard?
That I'm not sure. It'll either be that or the Pau Ferro, but I believe the Pau Ferro is more your Mexican Strats nowadays.
Yeah. But yeah, they're really nicely built. They're just a little bit of a different type of guitar, but I feel like they do that Strat tone really well.
Yeah.
And some extra bits as well.
But as we say, I think the future comparison one day will be to compare this with a Strat that has Alnico pickups.
Yeah. A friend of ours has the Squier Classic Vibe
50s
Strat. So it would be good to actually sit down with those two and do a like for like comparison of the modern Classic Vibe series and see how close that gets to sounding like a Strat. It got further than I thought it would. It actually got closer than I thought it would.
Yeah, well, I'll always remember not so long ago, a few weeks ago, when you absolutely tore it up with your stereo rig. I'd never heard it sound quite like that, and that convinced me that it is, a pretty decent instrument when it comes down to it.
Yeah, it is. It's nice.
It's about what you use with it, how you play it, and all that jazz.
Yeah, and all that jazz.
All that jazz.
Right, well, we hope that was in some way useful. Certainly interesting for us, and we'll be back soon with some more comparisons.